GFSB chairperson Gemma Vasquez opened the event and said Gibraltar plc had taken great strides with the introduction of the Fair Trading Act and the Business Nurturing Scheme. She also highlighted some of the GFSB's concerns, including the effect that compulsory private sector pensions could have on small businesses. Both leaders sought to address these.
We would have to be persuaded that it's not going to have a detrimental effect on small businesses, because in the current economic climate, we cannot afford to increase the burden on small businesses to the extent that we make it then difficult for those companies and those businesses to survive.
I actually think this is something that we should be doing. We should be moving in that direction, but we can do it in a way that doesn't hurt small businesses. I think what we would be doing is working with you simply to ensure that you deduct from an employee's salary the amount the employee once contributed to a pension scheme which is set up and administered by the government of Gibraltar.
In response to a GFSB request, both politicians committed to reviewing the recently introduced Fair Trading Act within the coming months to address teething issues such as the requirement for all businesses to have premises. There was much less agreement when it came to their very different ideas for a new power station.
Well, it's very simple. We will be operating by the end of 2017. We are the only option at this election that allows you to have a very clear timeline of when you will have power. We've already started the process of building.
The timeline for an LNG power station at the North Mole is as clear as mud. The GSD timeline for building a power station at Lathbury Barracks, when we already had the contract signed, was 2 to 3 years. That was the timeline that we had in the Lathbury Barracks power station. And we don't think that timeline actually changes.
We have laid the foundations already for the new power station. We've been piling there now for over 2.5 months. At Lathbury, it would be impossible to go back now without a new procurement process, Jonathan. I think the question is, how do you go back?
I disagree that we would have to go back to the original procurement. We have actually looked at this,
yes,
and the fact that you're having...
You haven't looked at it right. You've made a clear legal mistake. It is absolutely impossible. There are European rules about this.
Mr. Picardo also revealed about 1/3 of the electricity distribution network has already been upgraded, with 2/3 still to go.
Possibly about 1/3 has already been upgraded, and we still have 2/3 to do. And the whole idea is to try and ensure that the upgrading of the grid and the operation of the new power station all match up, so that we can go. You need to understand this. We are in a pre-analog stage at the moment with our grid. And we're going to go from a pre-analog stage to a digital stage.
When we signed a contract for the Lathbury Barracks power station, it was £120 million. And it was £120 million for the power station, complete overhaul of the distribution network across Gibraltar, new offices for Gibraltar, and also for the storage tanks. That was the price for that power station.
On the price of electricity, the GSLP Liberal leader said the current subsidy would be maintained, adding that LNG could even assist in bringing prices down. Daniel Feetham said his party's policy is to introduce means testing for households, but not to remove the subsidy for businesses. Mr. Picardo also pledged that, if elected by the end of 2017, his party would deliver full and absolute e-government, which would be the envy of other places in Europe, he said. Mr. Feetham agreed that it was absolutely imperative that e-government become a reality, not just for the benefit of small businesses, but also, he said, for the civil service. All in all, the GFSB will draw comfort from the significant agreement between the two men on the importance of listening to and catering for the needs of small businesses.